In Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a terrifying creature was sighted many times by many eyewitnesses, starting in November 1966. It was a tall humanoid figure which peered from the shadows with hellish, luminous yellow eyes. It had wings of enormous size and only showed itself at night. This Mothman, as it came to be known, haunted the town for just over a year, and then, in December 1967, the Silver Bridge in the town collapsed, and 46 people tragically lost their lives. After this, the Mothman wasn't seen again. Was it simply a case of scared townsfolk misidentifying owls and whipping themselves into hysteria, only to lose interest in a silly story after a tragedy? Or was the Mothman trying to warn the town, appearing as a portent of the disaster to come? I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Absol. Mythology all over the world is awash with supposed omens which foretell disasters, from the mundane, like black cats, crows and vultures, to astrological phenomena like a solar eclipse. Many things have been said to predict imminent disaster. In Chinese mythology, the Bai Ze was a white, goat-like creature with a black face and third eye, which appeared before the Yellow Emperor, mythical founder of the nation, and taught him about the dangers of the magical world. In Japanese myth, the creature became known as the Hakutaku, said to appear in times with wise and just leaders, therefore being a good omen and used to ward off evil. However, in Toyama Prefecture, there is a legend of this same creature, the Hakutaku, appearing to warn of a coming plague. Pokémon's omen is Absol, a sleek white feline monster with a darker, slightly humanoid face, black claws and a blade-like black tail. Its white hair and black scythe-like horn form a kind of Taijitu symbol of yin and yang. On its forehead is a black mark which could almost be a third eye. Like the black cat in Europe or the Hakutaku, Absol appears as a portent of disaster. Pokémon Ruby tells us, every time Absol appears before people, it is followed by a disaster, such as an earthquake or a tidal wave. As a result, it came to be known as the Disaster Pokémon. Pokémon Sapphire tells us, Absol has the ability to foretell the coming of natural disasters. It lives in a harsh, rugged mountain environment. This Pokémon very rarely ventures down from the mountains. Pokémon Emerald tells us, it sharply senses even subtle changes in the sky and the land to predict natural disasters. It is a long-lived Pokémon that has a lifespan of 100 years. The interesting twist which Pokémon brings to the idea of such an omen is that it has become a misunderstood, hated creature. Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green told us, it appears when it senses an impending natural disaster. As a result, it was mistaken as a doom-bringer. Pokémon Sun tells us, long ago, superstitions were spread about it, saying it brought disaster. This fed a hatred of it, and it was driven deep into the mountains. Pokémon Ultra Sun chastises us for this, telling us, the only thing unlucky about Absol is its appearance. It protects fields and warns people of disaster, so one ought to be grateful for it. And Pokémon Ultra Moon gives us some hope, telling us, the elderly call it the disaster Pokémon and detest it, but interest in its power to predict disasters is on the rise. The name Absol, which is the same in Japanese and English, comes from Latin and means the absence of the sun, referring to that other classic fell omen, the solar eclipse. With such an iconic design, drawing inspiration from so many different sources in folklore and mythology, it's no wonder Absol is an incredibly popular monster. It's even the favourite Pokémon of composer for this show, Jonathan Cromie.
Absol. Hello, lads, lasses, and NBs. It's Absol here, coming to talk to you about Jonathan Cromie, or something like that. Look, I'm excited for this episode. Okay, Absol is probably my favourite Pokemon. It's definitely in the top 3. We're coming to one of the other top 3 soon, and the next one will have to wait until Gen 7. But Absol is probably my favourite Pokemon, and definitely the Pokemon I've got the most history with, especially online. So I'm going to talk for quite a lot, and we'll see how much Luke deigns to put in the podcast. Absol, yeah, kind of dark and light, tail, wolf, yin-yang, beautiful quadruped thingy. My history with Absol begins in Pokemon Sapphire, as does my history with all Pokemon in this generation, apart from some legendaries like Jirachi and Deoxys. Absol first crops up at the end of my least favourite selection of rainy, long grass-filled, overlong routes in the game, and its posture in Pokemon Sapphire, the way its sprite is positioned, it gave me no idea that there was this sort of beautiful white and black wolf behind the sprite. I just saw one of those things and went, oh, it doesn't evolve, it's kind of slow. It's at the end of this hellish route. Stuff it. I can't quite remember at what point that view changed. Certainly by the time we'd reached generations 4 and 5, I'd appreciated Absol in games like Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD for the beautiful and also incredibly edgy, it must be remembered that I was a 12 to 13 playing these games, incredibly edgy Pokemon that it is. Literally, it's got a blade on its head, it's got a blade on its tail, it's covered in edges. But I loved Absol. I used it as my avatar online even.
Absol has a great attacking ability, and the useful dark type. Although this makes it a fantastic monster to get a player through a single-player campaign, it doesn't have the speed or the survivability to put that power to use on the competitive scene. In the 6th generation, it did get a little bit of a boost.
Sprite fusions were a thing back in the day, back in the Diamond and Pearl era and going on to Black and White. I only ever made one sprite fusion. It was an Absol, onto which I stuck a pair of wings. I think they were Articuno's wings. And I was so proud of it. Just a very simple copy-paste job with a bit of white paint applied in Microsoft Paint. I was so proud of it that I used it as my avatar on many an online forum, including the one that Luke and I frequented, all the way back in the day. Well, I'm sure some of you will be able to see where this is going. Cut to Generation 6, and Nintendo's copied my idea. They've made Absol in the form of Mega Absol even cooler, even edgier, by giving it a couple of wings. Why they didn't make it dark and fairy, or at the very least dark and flying, I have no idea. But I don't even like Mega Pokemon, but I was delighted to see this, you know. Nintendo taking my online avatar. Well, I was smitten. Luke and I still belong to an online forum, and it's a sort of spiritual successor to the one that we used to attend. And one of the Secret Santa events, somebody got me a plushie of Mega Absol. Oh, I love that plushie. By I love, I mean I stuck it on top of a metal pole and used it as a guiding rod while taking people around London. Yeah. I've got a look. Absol the Pokemon, the selection of stats, it's got very high attack, mediocre or anything else. It can't really do anything, even in its mega form, it's horribly outclassed. But it's an attractive looking Pokemon, it's an edgy Pokemon, it's a monochrome Pokemon, and that's kind of my fashion sense, if it can be called such a thing. I've got a huge long history with Absol. Yeah, it probably is my favourite Pokemon.
Mega Absol's main change is a pair of angelic white wings, making it resemble an ancient Greek depiction of the Sphinx. Like a lot of Mega Pokemon, this transformation seems to be somewhat unpleasant for the monster. Ultra Sun tells us, normally it dislikes fighting, so it really hates changing to this form for battles. While Ultra Moon tells us, it converts the energy from Mega Revolution into an intimidating aura. Faint-hearted people expire from shock at the sight of it. There is a reason, however, that it doesn't, as Jonathan suggests, gain the flying type. Pokemon Moon explains, as the energy of Mega Revolution fills it, its fur bristles. What you see on its back are not true wings, and this Pokemon isn't able to fly. Pokemon Sun tells us, when the Pokemon whips the wing-like fur on its back, as though beating its wings, it sends an intimidating aura flying around its opponents. Absol is a tremendous Pokemon design, both in its original and Mega forms. It may have been feared in the ancient Pokemon world, but it is beloved in this world. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon was composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Writing, producing, and editing is all by me, Luke Summerhays, while funding is provided by lovely listeners over at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius, where you can find links to the other shows my friends and I create. I love to hear from listeners with your thoughts and feelings about the Pokemon you love too. Get in touch about the next monsters, Snorunt and Spheal, or with your thoughts, feelings, and observations about any other Pokemon over on Twitter or Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN.
I love Absol. And like Luke, I love you too, but I especially love Absol.